Hey everyone, this is Wayne Hall back again with another comic you can order through your local shop that's an indie comic. And I thought this week I would devote myself to a book that I have loved for a very long time and it's just made a change, and I think you should know about it. If you haven't heard of the Perhapanauts, and it's glaring a little bit because it's very shiny, Perhapanauts is done by, and I'm sure I'm going to butcher their names, uh, Todd DeZago and Craig Rousseau. I've often talked with them when I see them at conventions, and I often record with them and stuff like that on my podcast. And I love the stuff they do. This is a wonderful book. It's so full of comedy and adventure and everything else in the world that I truly love. And it's just one of those great things that's so great for a comic that I always am shocked when people don't seem to know about it, but that's what happens in the industry these days. Good stuff has to struggle to get attention. So, I want to talk a little bit about the book. This has been going on for quite a number of years. There are several volumes out. The trick I've had with Perhapanauts is that, like, this book is printed by Image. Yeah, you can see it up there, the Image logo. It was done by Image, but they've kind of bounced around to other people. I think they were at IDW. I could be wrong about that. But they've been a little tough to follow sometimes. And the thing that excites me is they are actually coming to Scout Comics under the Black Caravan logo. What they're going to do is they're going to do what they call a non-stop. The first issue is going to come out, and then a couple of months later, there's going to be a trade of that story collected in one volume, which will be great. You can order those through your bookstores, so that'll be great. And I highly recommend you do. This one happens to be an earlier one. I just happened to pull this one out, Dark Days. It said you can see the characters. I gotta hold it in a way it doesn't glare. There's several different characters, and let me tell you who they are. This guy is Choopy. He's a chupacabra, of course. This, of course, is Bigfoot, who is a huge intellect. I like that about that. He's a big intellectual guy, but he's also a Bigfoot. This is a girl by the name of Molly, and she's a ghost right there. This guy right here is kind of the adventure guy. He's MG. He's kind of the James Bond of the bunch, and she is Arisa. She's kind of the leader of sorts to that. And these guys go on all sorts of extra natural adventures, and it's a lot of fun. Artwork is a lot of fun too. I think it really meets the story real well. It's adventuresome with supernatural things going on. My favorite of the bunch, by the way, happens to be Bigfoot because I'm so surprised that a Bigfoot is this intellectual giant. It just gets me every time. I find it so funny. This book is the one I'm going to review, but if you go to look for Perhapanauts, you can find that they'll be in bookstores. Like I said, it's a little tough to track down certain issues, but there's a lot out there. This book is the one I'm going to talk about. It's basically, I'll see if I can catch the story real quickly and tell you what it is. Dark Days collects for the first time the time lost tales of Perhapanauts from their hard to find First Blood and Second Chances miniseries. Its origins and early adventures are the most mysterious, thrilling, and at times hilarious. That's true. Paranormal team in comics. This is where it all started. I always like to start at the beginning if I can, and this is good. Let me read you really quickly the description of the series. There are places in this world where the fabric of reality has worn thin, where strange and terrible creatures have crossed over to lurk in the shadows and the night. There is an organization dedicated to finding these creatures and sending them back whence they came, sealing the rift behind them, and maintaining the integrity of those borders. The organization is called Bedlam. Its agents are the Perhapanauts. And so they get into all kinds of crazy stuff. And here's lots about the origin, how they came together, which is really good. They're so interesting in the way that they do things, and they come across absolutely the most unexpected stuff. But it's a wonderful, wonderful book. I recommend to start with this one. This is Dark Days. If you can get this one, just depends on if they can still order it. I hate to say it, but after the pandemic, all this stuff's all in chaos now. But if you can get a hold of this book, I highly recommend it. If you can't get it through your local store, try Amazon. It's on Amazon, I know. I've seen it on there. First store. Can't get it through the store, Amazon. But I've talked to these guys. They're great fun. They do this kind of on the side. They have regular jobs that they do during the day, and then at nighttime they get together and do these things. And this book also has lots of good character pages. There's MG right there. There's all kinds of good things going on. It's just a wonderful, wonderful book. It's so creative. See, there's Bigfoot, and he's next to Choopy, who is hysterical in this book. I didn't expect that from him. There's Arisa, by the way. There's her page. This book, I recommend this book, and this is the one I've been talking about. Origins and how they came together, things like that. But all the books, I mean, you can pick up the different volumes and you'll be fine. I like to know the backstory, so I do this. So, why don't I real quickly, rather than spend a lot of time going into the story and stuff, I'll go to the review of it and we'll go to the grades. The writing, I always think, is really stellar in this book. Perhapanauts is one of those great comics that is entertaining and engaging and excellent storytelling at the same time. Surprises, twists, you name it, it's in there. So I have to give it an A. It's just a great book. The art, it's a little craggy at times, so I would give it like an A minus, but it's, again, we're talking about supernatural stuff and things that are not normal. So I kind of expect this kind of thing, and I really hate to give it a lower grade, but it's such a wonderful book. The art style fits the tone of the comic really well. So I have to give it an A too, because it's just so well nicely done. Lettering, I'm always mad about lettering. I'll give it a B. I think it's pretty well done. They vary how they do it. Sometimes it's blue, black backgrounds on the lettering, on the words that people are speaking. There's like purple surrounding things to give you a different idea. Somebody's talking, it sounds differently. There's orange backgrounds, like see, there's orange boxes and stuff like that. So I give it a B. I think it's good on that. Literary merit. This book holds up over time. You don't have to, like, even if reading the first story, it's still as timely today as it was when this first came out. In fact, let me see when it did first come out. I'd like to have that in here. Of course, it's not going to make it available for me to find. Darn. Well, this was 2010, but I think this was going before that. So it's been about 15 years this has been going, and happily going. I love these books. They often Kickstarter, and you can often catch up on Kickstarters. Literary merit, A. This is going to 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you can still read it and it would still be good. And I think it has a lot of profound things happening that you're going to enjoy. Fun factor. I normally don't give a lot of high grades for fun factor. This one I will. This is an A. It's hysterically funny. But you gotta like supernatural and offbeat stuff. If you don't like that stuff, it won't be funny. But to me, it's hilarious. It's just great. Overall grade, I couldn't find out exactly how many they've made in time, but it's got to be 5 to 10 of these. And so I have to give this an A. Longevity really helps. The fact that these characters are really fun and interesting really helps. If you're not reading Perhapanauts, I highly recommend it. It might be a good time to jump on board with the single issue that they're going to make from Black Caravan. It's coming from Scout. And then a couple months you'll get the whole story that's in that one starts off. But this is a fun book. If you like supernatural and strange, wonderful things happening with kooky characters, you're going to love the Perhapanauts. So I give it an A all around. Look for this book. Perhapanauts is wonderful fun. If the cons come back, find these guys at cons. They're hilarious to talk with. And until next time, keep reading your comics.